Hi everyone, welcome to my channel where I review the latest movies and documentaries. Today, I'm going to talk about the Man from Earth movie. If you're interested in this topic, make sure to watch this video until the end, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. The story begins with Professor John Oldman, David Lee Smith, packing his things onto his truck in preparation for moving into a new home. His college classmates appear to throw an unexpected farewell party for him. Harry, John Billingsley, a biologist, Edith, Ellen Crawford, a professor of art history and a devout Christian, Dan, Tony Todd, an anthropologist, Sandy, Annika Peterson, a historian in love with John, Art, William Catt, an archaeologist, and his young student, Linda, Alexis Thorpe. As they enter the house, Edith notices Van Gogh's little-known painting by John with a note to my friend Jack Bourne on the back written in French. Once inside, John's colleagues insist that he explain to them why he is gone. Another friend, Art Jenkins, William Catt, an archaeologist, and his student Linda Murphy, Alexis Thorpe, arrives, and John's teammates continue to pressure him to find out why he is gone. John asks the question, what if a Paleolithic man survived death until today? As the film progresses, John slowly and hesitantly reveals that he is the primitive man he discusses when he mentions that he had a chance to sail with Christopher Columbus in the 15th century, admitting that at the time he still believed that the earth was flat, and that he was friends with Van Gogh, one of his original paintings apparently possessed, a gift from the artist himself. He begins his story by referring to the prehistoric topography and origins of John, which spoke about 14,000 years ago. John reveals that he was a Sumerian for 2,000 years, then a Babylonian under Hammurabi, and finally a disciple of the Buddha. Dr. Will Gruber, Richard Rill, an elderly psychologist, arrives, and at this point Dan states that John's story is impossible to prove as it is impossible to deny, in response to numerous attempts to prove John's story wrong by his colleagues. The discussion turns to the biological and physical state of John and the theme of death. Gruber pushes the discussion deeper into the topic of death, and the tension increases as he interrogates John about the topic. The tension culminates with Gruber pointing a gun at John. After the drama ends with Gruber's departure, Harry reveals that Gruber's wife had died the day before, and that John's professionalism of his immortality hit Gruber hard. Gruber returns home and apologizes for his behavior. John resumes his story and reveals that he was a disciple of Christ, and that he was involved in his crucifixion. This revelation shocks Edith and accuses John of blasphemy and atonement. John defends himself and says that he did not know that Jesus was the Son of God, and that he was trying to save him from death. John says that he believed that Jesus was just a wise and educated man, and that he was following the teachings of the Buddha. John says that he loved Jesus as a friend, and that he respected him as a teacher. John says that he was called John at that time, and that he was one of the 12 apostles. John says that he was a witness to the resurrection of Jesus, and that he was shocked and amazed by this event. John says he didn't know how it happened, and that he didn't know whether Jesus was really the Son of God or not. John says that he left the apostles afterwards, and that he changed his name and identity again. John continues his story and reveals that he has been married 10 times, and that he had 4 children. John says he lost his last wife in a car accident, and that he hasn't married since. John says he loved all his wives, and that he mourned their deaths. John says he used to visit his grandchildren and great-grandchildren every now and then, and that he was trying to be part of their lives. John says he was afraid someone would find out his secret and be chased or persecuted or experiment. John says that he was living a simple and modest life, and that he was trying to learn from every experience and culture. The film ends with John saying that he wants to start a new life elsewhere, and that he hopes to find peace and happiness. John says he doesn't know what the purpose of his existence is, and that he doesn't know what the end is. John says he is not afraid of death, but is afraid to lose everything. John says he thanks his colleagues for listening, and that he apologizes for any inconvenience or abuse he may have caused. John says he would like to remain friends with them, and that he would like to see them once again. John says he respects their opinions and beliefs and wishes them all the best. John says he would like to ask them one question before he leaves. Do you believe me? John's colleagues look at him with wonder and bewilderment and begin to answer his question. The film ends without showing their answers. And here we will have reached the end of our movie. Here are some quotes from our movie. There's no way in the whole world for John to prove his story. Just as there is no way for us to refute it. No matter how strange it is in our eyes, no matter how highly trained we are, there is no way to refute it. My friend is either a primitive man, a liar, or a madman. So while we think about it, why don't we follow it? Borrow. Believe what he tried to teach without bragging. Pious is not what lessons bring to people, but the mistakes they bring to lessons. John Oldman. Time, you can't see it, you can't hear it, you can't weigh it, you can't measure it in a laboratory. It's a subjective sense of transformation, what we are in it. Instead of what we were before nanoseconds, we become what we would be in another nanosecond. Every piece of time is an existing landscape we shape behind us and move through it slice by slice. Linda Murphy. What you say offends common sense. That's how nature works. John Oldman. It's everywhere. We just can't see it. Edith. If that's the best I can do, I'll hide too. Harry. I don't know what the purpose of my existence is. I don't know what the end is. I'm not afraid of death, but I'm afraid to lose everything. John Oldman. I don't think you know what you're saying. You need help. Dr. Will Gruber. Everyone needs help. John Oldman. Yes, okay. Some of them are more than others. Dr. Will Gruber. When did you start thinking you were Jesus? Dr. Will Gruber. When did you start thinking you were a psychiatrist? John Oldman. Since I graduated from Harvard Medical School and finished my training, I've had that feeling. Why do I sometimes dream about it? Dr. Will Gruber. Did you act on this belief? John Oldman. I'm not saying I'm immortal, just old. I may die. John Oldman. If that's the best I can do, I'll hide too. Harry. Technical information about the film. The film is directed by Richard Shinkman and written by Jerome Bixby. Bixby is a famous screenwriter who has worked on several science fiction films and series such as Star Trek, Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits. Bixby began writing the screenplay for the film in the early 60s and completed it on his deathbed in April 1998. The film is considered a tribute to him and his creative work. The film stars David Lee Smith as John Oldman, John Billingslea, Tony Todd, Alan Crawford, Annika Peterson, William Catt, Alexis Thorpe and Richard Rell in the roles of his colleagues. The film relies heavily on the actors' performances and their intelligent and exciting dialogue. The film explores topics such as history, religion, philosophy, science and humanity, through the story of John and the reactions of his colleagues. The film is filmed entirely in and around John Oldman's house during his farewell party, and consists of almost only dialogue. The film does not contain scenes of violence, sex or special effects. The film focuses on the story, characters and ideas. The cinematography of the film is executed by Afshin Shahidi, and the editing is by Neil Grief. The soundtrack for the film was composed by Mark Hinton Stewart. The film has a limited budget of $200,000. The film did not get wide distribution in theaters, but it gained great fame through the internet and peer-to-peer participation networks. The film received positive reviews from critics and the audience, and was considered by some to be one of the best science fiction films. The film was later adapted into a play by Shinkman. The second part of the film called The Man from Earth was also produced. Holocene in 2017. The film is part of a project called the Man from Earth Project, which is an initiative to support independent and innovative films. The project aims to encourage participation and collaboration between filmmakers, viewers and fans. The project offers a platform to donate, fund, promote, distribute, interact, rate, comment and participate in films. The project allows viewers to watch movies for free or for a nominal fee, and invites them to support the films they love. The film uses a technique called graphic art, which is a technique that uses artificial intelligence to create artistic drawings and images based on text or concept. The film uses this technique to create some artistic shots that appear in the background or as part of a story. The film uses this technique to add an element of creativity, uniqueness and beauty to the film. The film uses this technique in a harmonious way with the story, characters and ideas. The movie contains some extra, deleted and extended scenes that did not appear in the original version. These scenes provide more detail, clarification, and in-depth of the story, characters, and ideas. These scenes were produced after the release of the original film, and were added to the digital version, the play and the second part. These scenes were produced based on feedback, suggestions and questions by viewers and fans. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this movie and what other movies or documentaries you want me to review next. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.